Hello everyone and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 289. Today is Sunday, September 8th, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. We are hanging on the floor. I may change this up later, but this seemed fairly convenient. I'm sort of entertained by my dual shadows too. Yeah, whatever. So I'm in a new place. This is good. I don't know, I'm not sure if I have oodles to share this week, but I figured I would, and the odds are looking good for a podcast next week, but not the week after, so, or what would it be? I'm leaving early enough Sunday that it pretty much counts as 24 hours in whatever New York for me, so. But the coffee's hot, the shades are closed, it shouldn't be too much different. So, what's happened? What would it be? I've been, or what would it be? So, I have my linen vitamin D. It's out of Claudia Hand Paints Contemplation Lace in the Lone Star colorway, and it's a Heidi Kurmeyer pattern. And it was cool because Heidi liked my Instagram post. So, I almost have real sleeves, and my only hang up right now is, am I there yet? Because it's just like a little bit challenging to put together the measurement that makes sense. And I was pretty sure I was careful about measuring it before. Sorry, I'm just doing this live on the podcast. And it seems like I'm 4 more rows to go. But it seems like I have 50 bajillion more rows to go if I go off of the shoulder. So, I'm not sure whether or not I knit this second sleeve longer than the first sleeve, which is then putting me in the awkward zone of, I didn't do 13 and a half. Oh, I knit the second sleeve longer. I could have just measured. I knit the first sleeve to 13 and a half inches. I guess I knit the second one to 14. My third sleeve is at 13 and a half inches. If only I quantified things properly. And I did end up ripping back a little bit on it because it began to pool awkwardly. And I think some of this just has to do with, I like it when it turned out to be a really stripey pool, so there was like high contrast, and so it just looked like stripes. Whereas on this guy, I was getting to the point where I was beginning to get light color, low contrast colors neighboring each other. And that wasn't ideal. And I do maybe have a certain amount of that going anyways, but it was the case where I decided my solution was to break the yarn and pull from the other end of the ball. So, not too crazy, but apparently I have 4 rows to go before I'm ready to put on the etching. And edge I shall. And I think that this is a pretty good length for this, so it shouldn't be too crazy, but so what would it be? I know that I talked I don't even know. So, I think there are a couple of things I want to discuss. One of those was I was sitting knitting at the local yarn shop on Wednesday night, and I was feeling irritated about magic looping. And then I was like, guys, I'm in a local yarn shop. I can buy needles and I don't have to magic loop. So I then proceeded to stand up and grab the one pair of 3mm 9-inch circs they had there, and when I left I paid for them. And you know what? It's made knitting so much more pleasant. And I wouldn't have bought a pair of little circs for just 4 inches of knitting, because I think I was contemplating getting the interchangeable little circs from Xiaogu. But then I knew that I would have to buy a separate one for the 3mm needle anyways, because what would it be? It's a common European size, but it is the awkward zone US 2.5, so it's just not a typical needle size when you're living in imperial land. So, but at that point I had started a boxy and I had started the boxy on 2mm needles, and I knew that I had more than one use for or would it be that I had yet another project on in the near future that was going to need a set of teeny circs. So that was my justification. So I have this little acquisition this week. It's not too crazy. I figure most of what I buy from the local yarn shop is needles, so what would it be? Plenty of yarn elsewhere. Though, interestingly, I did buy one skein of yarn from there, which is being currently knitted by Boxy. So, it shouldn't be too crazy, but, oh man. It's made me much happier having the little circs, because I know it's a polarizing subject. People love them, people hate them. I have concluded that I would rather knit in the round than deal with loops or extra needles or that sort of thing. Would I probably be okay with double points? Maybe. It just requires more careful management, and I don't have a set of 3mm double points, so it's sort of mute. I definitely prefer being on the one tiny circ, given the option. So this is coming along. In approximately 3 rows I will be done with the plain knitting, and I can do my little edging, and then I can get to the fun part of this sweater, which is the short rows. And I'll probably have to make some stuff up as I go, because I don't think that I'll be able to alternate skeins in the short row section, because that point's moving and I don't want to have my color exchange be the back of the sweater. Not that the way I've been doing my alternating has been super duper obvious. Like, what would it be? Like, there certainly is a little bit of distortion in the line there. So I would rather not have that be in my sweater, or going down the back of my sweater. I'd rather have that be in a less obvious place. So, and I'm guessing for the rest of the sweater it's going to be on the edge. So I will try to work through my balls until, or what would it be? So it'll probably be the case where I start sequencing through balls and maybe alternating ball 2 and ball 3. Should be. shouldn't be too crazy, but it's coming along fairly nicely. I don't know if I have some more plain knitting after I get past the, I don't know if I have some more plain knitting before I get to the short rows. I haven't read that far ahead of the pattern, aside from it strongly recommending you knit the sleeves early. So my sleeves will be done, and that'll be good. And what was it? I think the other thing that I had, which was a little bit frustrating, was that I began having awkward pulling again, so I had to break the yarn and then pull from a different end in order to get to something that had a little bit more purple. The problem was in places where the purple was scarce. And there isn't quite as much purple in this third iteration of the sleeve, so it's close enough. I'm not gonna rip it out again. They both look pretty good at this point. So they do pool in similar ways, and I'm okay with that. I think that ended up working out a lot better. So, and it was just luck. It was probably the case where I needed things to be just a little bit more offset, and that worked out fine. I wanted my stacks to be stripy, so in that regard I've succeeded. So when it comes to the boxy, it is funny because I think I was so eager to move on to the short row section of my vitamin D that I, what would it be, just went for it. So I think I had mentioned last week that I was joining in on the Hohi Fall Cal and that you can sign up, and it's a pretty busy little group. I'm probably gonna have to declare thread bankruptcy because I haven't really been keeping up with the pullover thread. But it has, or would be, I think what has been interesting about doing it is I have given myself permission to not pay attention to the other threads, which is good because it's really a hopping little group. And there are people there that I haven't previously met on Ravelry. So in some ways, I don't know if you guys feel like you keep running into the same people over and over again. So in that regard, it's been good to mix it up a little bit and see some different people. It seemed to work out for me. And there are like people of all sorts of abilities in the thread, so I've been able to help out as needed, which has been nice. I like being helpful. So I don't think I cast on, I don't think I had wound yet, but I am working with two Shibui knits yarns. The blue one is Pebble in the blueprint colorway, and the black one is Silk Cloud in the Abyss colorway. And here they are wound up into cute little cakes. So they come in 25-gram put-ups. These are very itty-bitty little skeins of yarn. And what would it be? So the Abyss probably really is sort of a cobweb, and the Pebble is a lace weight. And I ended up looking up my specs for my knot wool boxy, which is also a V-neck as well, and I knit it on 3mm needles. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna redo that, and this one will probably end up being very different. So as you can maybe sort of see here, so this is the back. I am doing the fun short rows. I'm almost done with the fun short rows for the back. I'll get to do the front at some point. I'm assuming I'm gonna knit the back until I get to the armhole part, and then I will get to knit in the round forever. But it does make a very interesting, moody fabric. So you can see the halo, you can see the variegation that's happening, and that has to do with the way this yarn is. So it has its own sort of variegation. I believe it's the case where it has one ply merino and then the other ply, or there's one ply which I think is merino cashmere and the other ply is silk. And then this guy's just Halo City. So I think it's creating a really cool effect holding them together. So you get the lighter, which I think is from the silk. You get the darker, which is from the mohair silk. And then that medium is coming from the wool ply, or whatever, the wool cashmere ply with the yarn. So it should be good. So this is a Hohi Locatelli pattern I'm doing as a part of the Hohi Fall Cal. Am I going to finish in time? I have no clue. What would it be? I only entered this project into the Cal because this was sort of the case where it matched up nicely. Where it was like, oh, I have yarn to knit this sweater. Oh, maybe I could knit this sweater because it will be pretty easy knitting. And I actually have it on hand in the stash. So, in that regard, not too crazy. So I'll have to figure out where my new winding place is. It'll probably be the case where I trot it in and out as needed. I did wind 2 more balls, one of the mohair silk and another one of the, the merino cashmere silk. This is such a luxurious sweater. And I would say the hand is soft. It may be the case where I end up, I don't know, I haven't decided yet, so I do have, or what would it be? So, I believe I got enough yarn in order to knit an extra long version, because I'm not all that, what would it be? Or I really like wearing my current boxy with leggings, and so that means you have to have a long enough sweater to do that. So my plan is to use as much of the yarn as possible. But there wasn't enough of the blueprint colorway, so I did pick up a gray when I originally bought the yarn at DFW Fiber Fest. But then the local yarn shop, Holly's Yarns, did have some in stock, so this one is the odd man out. Why am I starting with the odd man out? I don't know, because I'm crazy. So it's from a different dye lot, but I'm guessing that the mohair silk will mask quite a lot of things, and since it is more of a commercially produced yarn, it seems like everything is a lot more consistent. What would it be? And I am amused because Shibuya is an American company, so it sounds Japanese, but it's American, so whatever. Whatever. FYI. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. And yeah. I was just picking up the wrap from my last short row. I think this is the same thing that I did on the other sweater as well, which was like the pattern's like, do this 2.5 more times, and I just lost count and just continued to do short rows until I ran out of whatever length of short row over. Maybe that was silly, but it worked. At some point it's going to be some sort of length from the edge anyway, so I'm sure it'll look great no matter what. But what would it be? I am quite glad that the yarn looks really great held together, and it actually sort of exceeded my expectations for what it was going to turn out to be. I'm enjoying working with it. The mohair is not driving me insane, though the mohair is getting all sorts of interesting places. Well, or what would it be? Like, it sheds a little bit as you're winding it, so my computer was definitely, that was one of the interesting places. And I don't know, should I have started a sweater when I have a pretty long queue of things to, or whatever, forgiveness, maybe? Perhaps this is motivation to hurry up and finish the vitamin D. I feel like I'm still pretty far. But yeah, no, in terms of future knitting, like I'm at a little bit of a conundrum, so I would like to knit my grandfather pair of socks, but all my wool mice is packed away. Maybe this is the case where I need to have a discussion with my mother-in-law. I will be seeing her next weekend, so there is possibility. And then, what was it? There's a case where there is an intention to knit my cousin a Violante, so that would also satisfy that easy knitting craving. And I do have the yarn. Or all my wool mice that I have out is lace yarn, so not for socks. For what would it be? For sweaters and giant blanket shawls. And then I have the stuffies for my nephews, though they are small and it doesn't really matter when I give it to them, but it was something that I was intending to do in August, and now it's September, and I brought fiber fill with me and in my stash in exile, so like, I probably should, but the idea of doing simple knitting has been very attractive indeed. So, whatever. And so, I feel like the order of things is all messed up, but I just got sucked into the new shiny. And I think because the sleep was frustrating me, I needed something else to do. And now that the sleeve is almost over, hopefully I can happily proceed with the other pattern. So I'll need to figure out the appropriate containment for this project, whether or not it needs a bigger bag or not. I'm definitely going to hold off on winding yarn until the last moment. And we'll just sort of do it that way. I'm not alternating. The rest of the yarn is all in the same dye lot, so, and this is the pack, so I think I have a good plan. And it is nice to work on. Like, I'm purling, and it's just like, it's just really cool. I don't know, I'm glad I joined this bandwagon. So, what was it? I think I was originally inspired by holding the mohair silk and the other yarn together because of Ellie of the Skein Deer podcast, so I may say that this particular pattern incorporates a little bit of her design as well, which would be Floof. And I think there's another one out there. There's another design, I don't remember the designer or the pattern name, which also has that similar, like, hold these yarns together and make it fluffy. And I think there are a couple out now that do that. So it should be fine. It's just nice. Let's see, what other, so I would say that's my bit of awkwardness right now, is that I'm beginning a long endeavor and I still have quite a lot to go on the other one, so. Oh. Let's see. I haven't done very much with my spinning swatch, and honestly, I haven't even checked the poll. I could go check the poll quick. So I put a poll up in last week's episode about what way to or what would it be in order to figure out okay, so what would be I voted in the poll, and then I was just reading Jose's response to the post. I totally missed it. I'm sorry. So I didn't end up reserving enough singles in order to try doing the less is more approach. And it might be something that turns out to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure how things would work out. I don't even know if I have enough buttons. Oh well. So the thought process, and I think I ended up talking about it a little bit better in the poll itself even, is so my original option was ABC everything. And so that will give me sort of a mixture of colors. It makes for something that far away looks like a solid color, but then up close ends up being many colors put together, so like a pointillist painting. And it's definitely a possibility. So that would be the case where the teal, purple, and blue averages to something that's blue. And we all know how I feel about blue. I'm very positive. The other option was to separate them all, so they don't have high contrast, but it is the case where you would then have like an all purple ply, an all teal ply, and an all midnighty navy sort of ply, and then, or yarn. So, and then I would like stripe or color block or something with it, so you could still see all of the variation within the color itself, because each color was made up of several colors, and so that highlighted the complexity of the color a little bit better, because you could see more of it. But it's low contrast. So then the ultimate solution was, I don't know, whatever, that probably was the wrong phrase. So then what I was sort of brainstorming about was having it be a transition. So it'd be the case, and this was something we talked about in the Judith McKenzie class as well, which is you're shifting colors using the component colors you have. And that might give me sort of the best of both worlds, I think, because there would be sections which would be the color by itself, but then there would also be sections of the color with a different neighbor. And that you could actually have all things go around sort of in a circle. And that would make several different yarns. So I think I outlined it. Yeah. So you would have so doing it with a 3-ply, you would have at the end 9 skeins, for which they would slowly change over time. And so it would be the case where you would start off with like a solid block, then you would slowly bring in the next color, then you would be dominated by the next color, and then you would have the next color by itself, and then you'd bring in the third color slowly, then it takes center stage, and then eventually bring back in the first color again. So you would sort of have this whole circular gradient of color, which could be really cool. Now it is the other end of the little short row. Then I'm done with short rows. Yeah. At least on this side. And so that, I think, would be a pretty good compromise, because I would get the complicated mixing, but then it would sort of be a gradient without a lot of contrast. And then I could sort of balance all of these things with, say, for example, having like a yolk be solid, and then bring in the different colors, or have them line up with what it's doing in the body, or I'm not even sure what pattern I want to knit with yarn. I guess you would need to know what sort of thickness you were dealing with too, so options. So I haven't finished watching. I didn't work on it at all. It's sort of in the bottom of my bag. I don't even know how much weight of yarn I even have, so or I know how much fiber I started out with, but whatever. So that's why I ended up starting the other project, because I did want to spin. I did want to spin on bin fiber, and I did want to have a little bit of time to decide. So whatever, that pool's gonna be open. I haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll put like a little update to be like, and it is unfortunate that I didn't end up reserving any fiber to try out that third path that I'd come up with, though I do think it would look pretty good. But it does involve a lot of different pieces, so it'd be the case where in order to implement that plan, I would need to take my fiber, or each one of my colors, split it into 9 groups, and hopefully I got the weights like pretty close, though I could probably incorporate more than one depending, and then it would probably be running through each one. And if you're separating with a gram scale, I think you can get it really, really close. So I think all of those pieces could come together pretty nicely. And maybe it's the case where I end up saving all of the colors are the same ply for the very end. I'm just using up as much as I possibly can of the fiber, because you don't want any fiber left behind. So it could be nice. It certainly would be the case where I think it would, I think I'm leaning towards it just because it's a compromise position of me like showing off the complicated color I created with the hackle and the complicated color I get when I apply it together in a certain way. So I wouldn't get, in that particular scenario, I wouldn't get a navy, teal, and purple all at once. But I think I would get all of those colors to shine and be highlighted in that scenario. So, and then I have a certain, or what would it be, a certain amount of flexibility with how I combine them together. Maybe? Because there would be a mixture of everything. So, I don't know. I still care about what you guys think too, so shouldn't be too crazy. But I don't think I did it all on this watch, so oh well. Let's see. So I'm going to be starting a travel spinning project, but the fiber is put away at the moment, so hopefully I'll be able to show that to you guys next week. But I am working on my progressive spinning, which is also in my bin, so I can be virtuous and procrastinate at the same time. So this is the fiber. So it is, I believe, Shetland top that I had received from someone. It was originally cloud, and I used it as combing practice. And so what's happened is, because the fiber itself is many colors, it's sort of spinning up that way. There we go. I'm gonna just have to tip this a lot. So that's okay. So you can maybe see it on the bobbin a little bit. So there's some variation going on here between when things are more brown and when things are more red, which is cool. And I nearly have a full bobbin, which is exciting. I was feeling like I would get to this Friday night, and I did do a decent amount of spinning Friday night, but I'm ready for the next bobbin when the time comes. And it may be the case where I sit down and divide this into equal bunches, and so then spin that whole bunch and go from there. Because I think my plan is, at the moment, to simply do a 3-ply with it, and then probably dye it more red when it's done, and that'll make it pretty complicated. Or what would it be? I think it'll be more my colors when it is more red. So, but now is not the time for that, because it's nice fluffy top and I don't want to ruin that. So here's one of the balls. This is my early combing work, so there is also some little bits of fiber that probably don't belong. I will pick them out as I find them. But I'm spinning it on a pretty low ratio on my wheel, but it's turning out nice, so I'm just going with it. It's holding together, it's not falling apart. It's fairly long wool, so it doesn't need a lot of twist to hold together, and I'm giving it as little as I find reasonable. So that'll probably be an activity for this afternoon, is whatever, splitting it up into whatever, 3 piles based on how much I already have done. It may be the case where I temporarily pull it off the wheel so I can weigh what I've done so far, or just assume I knew how much I started with. When I last weighed it, I still had a lot. I'm probably a little bit further along now, but I think in that case having them just divided into a few piles will be helpful for when I combine it all together. Because I don't... Yeah, I'm not sure that I want it to be a 2-ply. Like, I think I just want to make a 3-ply with it. Like, I think that would be nice. I think this is what I get when I'm spinning projects and I don't have any plan in mind for what I'm going to do. And I was like, it seems like it should be a 3-ply. That sounds like a good plan. So, and then I did finally count this bad boy today. So I have 219 yards of a 2-ply, and it's about 41 grams. So it turned out to be a light fingering weight 2-ply. Is it the softest thing ever? No. Do I really like the pops of color in it with like the blues and grays and a little bit of hot pink? Yeah, I do. So I'm still leaning towards combining it with a skein of hand spun that's trapped in storage right now. So this will probably end up getting put away for a while. And then I'll have to make sure that it's counted right on Ravelry. So that was another one of my projects today, was to photograph the new SSK stash, photograph spinning projects that are complete, and sort of quantifying everything. Because it has been a little bit chaotic lately, and I feel like I need to get my crafting life in order slightly before I move on to getting my professional life in order slightly. I don't know, there probably are some things that I could do today that would be helpful professionally too, so that, oh well. I'm not quite ready for that. I just wanted a nice, nothing sort of weekend, because it's going to be a little busy, the upcoming ones. So, it shouldn't be too crazy. Ooh, this one's dark and moody. They're all, or would it be, perhaps you can't even tell, but maybe, I don't know, they're different. So, it shouldn't be too crazy, but yeah, no, I've been bad about keeping up, and it's just like, I need to do this, and for like some of the challenges that I've been participating in, it would be nice to have a photo of whatever, what I've done, and sort of just tracking the goals. I have slightly different goals depending on the challenge, so like the russety combed fleece, like that's in my bin, but it's not in the Stalking Zombies one. I've randomly jumped on a Hohi bandwagon. This sweater here counts for the Stalking Zombies, but it's not spinning, so. And then all of it, I think anything that I finish counts towards the Fun Indian challenge I'm doing, which is sort of tracking what's coming in, what's coming out, which is why I need to track what came in. Though it does maybe make me feel a little bit less stash anxiety, because I've had this influx of like, okay, this lines up sort of with where my heart is at the moment, and go from there. So having that possibility is nice, because I know there's just no way that I'm going to extract any of my yarn in storage until I am in a different place. So, whatever. I will accept this. Though I am sad about my handspun being locked up, but I am making new handspun, so it's still a part of the possibilities. Yeah, let's see, anything else? I think that's everything. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care guys, bye-bye.